It's Tuesday, November 25th. This is CTV at 6. Here's what's making news tonight. The CEO of Nova Scotia Power is pressed by MLAs to explain high-priced bills. Curling champion and broadcaster Colleen Jones dies after battling cancer.
Rain moving through tomorrow, but some milder temperatures Wednesday as well as Thursday.
Live from our Maritimes News Center, this is CTV News at 6. Here is Todd Battis.
Good evening. We lost an accomplished and talented Maritimer today. Curler and broadcaster Colleen Jones has passed away. We will remember her in a moment. But we begin with an apology from Nova Scotia Power. The CEO was peppered with questions from lawmakers today, demanding to know why bills are so high. It comes as the utility continues to struggle with that debilitating cyber attack. CTV's Callum Smith reports.
I want to acknowledge and apologize for the concern and disruption this has caused.
Nova Scotia Power execs were in the hot seat, detailing the cyber attack that brought the utility to its knees earlier this year.
This incident was an unprecedented, sophisticated, and targeted attack. Based on expert assessments and intelligence, there's a high degree of confidence that the activity was closely associated with a Russia-based threat actor group.
Losing connection to meters, leading the utility to estimate everyone's bills, but MLAs say they've heard stories of people being charged double and triple last year's usage.
The system was never designed to estimate that number of bills.
75% of customers have had meters physically read. All will be done by the end of March, and all bills are to be accurate by then.
If we have overestimated your bill, we will fix it. If you have overpaid, we will fix it. And if we make a mistake, we will fix it.
Saying customers will get a credit or be able to apply for a refund. He declined publicly stating the cost of the cyber attack, but maintained customers won't pay for it. Meanwhile, social insurance numbers will be removed from Nova Scotia Power systems by March 31st at the latest. The CEO says that's yet to be done due to simultaneous investigations. Opposition parties say a committee appearance isn't enough, calling for a review of the utility. An NDP motion to have the Department of Energy come before the committee was voted down by the Tories.
There are still a lot of questions. What is it that government is doing to help Nova Scotians with the big challenges that have been revealed by this breach?
This today was a bit of a dog and pony show. The government has called a private company that has an interest to protect their bottom line. Nova Scotia Power can't be the only ones we're talking to about this.
But a governing MLA says the PCs will hold the utility accountable.
I'm going to go to caucus tomorrow, and I'm going to suggest that they have hurt Nova Scotians, and they need to be subject to a fine that will hurt.
Well, what would hurt?
I think it would have to have 6 zeros anyway.
He says Premier and Energy Minister Tim Houston will have more to say Thursday. Callum Smith, CTV News, Halifax.
The price of power is one thing, having enough is another, something NB Power is contemplating these days. A proposed AI data center in St. John brings enormous demand for electricity. As CTV's Laura Brown tells us, the utility wonders where it will come from.
The light bulb went off that we're very quickly running out of electricity in New Brunswick.
That realization came to Brad Cody, NB Power's chief commercial officer, in 2023. At the time, his calculations showed the province running out of power by 2028 during a peak demand, like a severe cold snap. Today, that concern still stands. It all stems from population growth.
A lot of new apartments and condos going up as well, a lot more dense in the housing. And of course, all of those connections add up.
Which is why they're banking on the proposed 400-megawatt natural gas plant in Tantramar.
Are you worried about what might happen if, for some reason, that doesn't get the approvals it needs?
Yeah, no, it's certainly a concern that we would be looking at. It's prudent utility planning, very complex business that we operate in, that we always have plans B, C, D, E, maybe even F. In terms of what would you do if you couldn't do the thing that you're trying to do.
That plant, which would be built by a U.S. company, hasn't been met with much support in the area. And then there's a proposed data center in St. John, which would require about 190 megawatts of power from the grid.
Because of their tremendous demand for power and water, is that there needs to be a process by which if one of these AI data centers wants to set up, that they have to make application to the province and to the utility so that they can determine whether they prioritize them versus some other development that might be coming along.
Data centers house massive servers and IT infrastructure. Cody says it's possible NB Power strikes an agreement with the companies behind the center.
We could serve you for most of the time, but hey, when it's going to add pressure, and when we say you're going to actually use up all the power that we have in the province, no, we don't want to serve you in those days or those hours.
NB Power's timeline for the Tantramar gas plant is for it to be operational by 2028. The same year, the two companies behind the data center are hoping for it to be completed. Now, one of those companies did not respond to our request for comment. The other did say they were open to speaking only after American Thanksgiving. Todd.
That's just in a couple of days' time. Thank you, Laura, in our Fredericton studio this evening. And a reminder, there is much more reporting on all of this at our website, CTV News Atlantic. .ca. We've lost a well-known Maritimer. Hall of Fame curler and longtime broadcaster Colleen Jones passed away earlier today. CTV late anchor Bruce Frisco was in the news center with a look at her very accomplished career. Bruce.
Very accomplished, Todd, and very sad news really being felt right across the country. Colleen Jones was a world champion curler who helped to elevate the sport in this country and elsewhere. And simultaneously, she was an accomplished broadcaster with a one-of-a-kind personality that made her popular everywhere she went. It was a really rare and special combination. In the rink, on the ice, Jones skipped her teams to the World Women's Championships in 2001 and 2004. It's worth noting she competed in more Scotties tournaments than any other curler in history. Way back, she set a record as the youngest skip to win the Canadian title back in 1982. So she was a fixture in the curling scene when she kicked off her long career with the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation as a sports host and reporter. Prior to that, though, we're proud to tell you she briefly worked right here at what was then ATV. Among the tributes pouring in, we've heard from the CEO of Curling Canada, Nolan Thiessen. In a statement, he said, in part, the curling community lost one of its greatest to ever do it today. Colleen was exceptionally talented and driven to succeed on the ice, but her enthusiasm for life, for curling, and all the people in this amazing community was infectious and what made her so special. She was the best of what our sport is and can be. Our sincerest condolences to her family and former teammates on their loss. And of course, the timing of Colleen's death comes as the country's top curlers are competing for a spot on Canada's Olympic team in Halifax, an event no doubt she would have been attending. But instead today, curling fans were talking about her.
We hear it time and time again, her fierce competitiveness. You know, she was there till the bitter end. She didn't give up easily.
That I remember her smile. That's what I remember, and yeah, a big team player. And I got tears in my eyes when I found out she had died. It's awful.
It's a sad, sad thing. We were very upset when we heard the news. She's an icon, curling icon. She started about the same time that we got into curling ourselves. We're about the same age. It's overwhelming.
She wasn't afraid to be herself and to play the game with the passion that she felt for it. And it influenced a lot of us.
Colleen Jones was diagnosed with cancer in early 2023. She was with her husband and sons today looking at the ocean in Mater's Cove when she passed away late this morning. Colleen Jones was 65, Todd.
Bruce, certainly very active in the community in Halifax, and you and I can attest she was every bit as competitive in the field as a reporter as she was on the ice.
She was. She liked to win when she was reporting as much as she did when she was curling.
Yeah.
And of course, our condolences go to her family.
Of course, she will be missed. Thank you, Bruce, in the news center, and of course, you'll be back here at 11:30 with our late newscast. And as Bruce mentioned, how appropriate then that Canada's top curlers are in Halifax competing to represent the country at the upcoming Winter Games. The Olympic curling trials now into day 5. The top men's and women's rinks are battling for the final 3 playoff spots, with semifinals set for Thursday and a shot at being named Team Canada for the Olympics. It's also on track to be the most attended Canadian curling event since 2018, with organizers expecting to top 100,000 tickets sold. About 5,000 or so fans will observe a moment of silence for Colleen Jones before the 7 o'clock draw this evening. There is a live look at Uptown St. John right now. Just a bit of a note here. Harbour Bridge will be closed overnight. It closed a few minutes ago, top of the hour at 6 o'clock for ongoing construction work. All right, let's bring in Kaylin Mitchell now with a look at the weather, and that map is well, it's pretty well covered over.
Yeah, with gray, and that gray representing cloud cover. And we're going to continue to see cloud make its way in and over the Maritime region as we head through this evening and tonight, eventually getting lower and lower. And will be followed up by rain in the forecast for tomorrow. Now, temperatures for tonight are likely to be at their chilliest or coldest through the first part of this evening, all the way up until around midnight. And then, in a lot of cases, temperatures will rise a few degrees as we head towards the start of the day tomorrow. And that's because we are getting a push of some milder air up the eastern seaboard of the United States. This is off a sprawling low pressure system that is bringing in a variety of weather conditions to an area of the country stretching from basically northern Ontario all the way to us here in the Maritimes. The snowiest side of this weather system is going to be around northern Ontario, right around the lakeshore of Lake Superior, including areas like Thunder Bay, and then eventually tonight and tomorrow locations like Kapuskasing, even Moosonee will likely catch some of this snow. It's expected to be very heavy in a swath through northern Ontario, as much as 30 to 60 centimeters, talking about a 1 to 2 foot snowfall accompanied by gusty winds, and there might be some hazardous, or there will be some hazardous travel conditions on some of the roadways through that part of the country because of that. For us here in the Maritimes, though, we're going to be on the milder and rainy side of this weather system, and rain right now approaching on its way up to the northeastern United States, just starting to get into the, or get past the New York area at the moment. The timing of that rain will bring it up into Boston later this evening, and then into Maine as we make our way towards midnight, and then by the early morning hours of tomorrow into the southwest of New Brunswick and the southwest of Nova Scotia. As the rain makes its way across the Maritimes, it'll generally bring in some amounts of between 10 and 30 millimeters, maybe a little bit lower than that for some northern areas of New Brunswick. I'll have more in the forecast a little bit later on, Todd.
Kayla, I heard some folks on the weekend saying they wouldn't mind seeing a little snow, make it feel festive, but I don't think anybody needs 2 feet. What is that, 60 centimeters?
60 centimeters, 30 to 60 centimeters of snow. I mean, Five's running that snowmobile contest right now. I mean, that would help out with the snowmobilers, but maybe a little bit early in the season.
It might be a little early. Okay, we'll see you later for the full forecast. A woman has died after being hit by a car in Annapolis County, Nova Scotia. 2 women were assisting a man in the roadway last evening at Granville Beach when one of the women was hit by a sedan. A 65-year-old woman from Carsdale died at the scene. The man who was being assisted by the pedestrians before the crash was arrested and charged with impaired driving. Now, the driver of the sedan in the collision was not hurt. The cause of the crash remains under investigation this evening. As the number of shelter spaces and pallet homes increases, so do the number of people needing them. A report that counted Halifax's homeless population revealed the number remains high. Emma Convey takes a look.
The city of Halifax is closing encampment sites, insisting there are enough shelter spaces, pallet homes, and other housing options. A new report says in all, it amounts to more than 1,000 people.
Last year, we detected 1,132 people experiencing homelessness. This year, the aggregate number is 1,150, but it's nuanced. We weren't able to catch everyone.
It's part of the national point-in-time count, a 24-hour snapshot. The Affordable Housing Association of Nova Scotia and the Mi'kmaq Native Friendship Centre conducted this year's count on the night of October 15th and into the next morning.
Year over year, there was a 63% increase of people living unsheltered. That's a significant increase, so from around 60 to 121. So what that tells us is more and more people are choosing to live outdoors again or in other unsheltered locations.
The report found that on November 25th, 2024, 75 people were living in designated and undesignated encampments, while on October 15th of this year, 121 were calling them home.
There was a 23% increase in people staying indoors, in shelters.
The people that are living rough because the housing that is available right now is not the appropriate housing for them. There's a reason why they choose to be in an encampment or in a tent or sleeping on a couch rather than being in a shelter or being in temporary housing.
Whether it's cost of living for some or mental health and addiction for others, reasons differ. On November 25th, 2024, 588 people were living in shelters. On October 15th, 2025, 726 people were. The report also highlights domestic violence transition houses. The number relying on these increased by 128%. An important stat for Bryony House, where staff's focus is on housing support as much as safety planning.
Leaving an abusive relationship is one of the main reasons that families, women and children become homeless. When housing is scarce, it causes women to have to choose between an unsafe home and becoming homeless.
Now, Todd, this year volunteers also counted the number of people living in their vehicles, a surprising number, 34. And one goal for this report is to push for more permanent housing options, as these organizations say that shelters just aren't the solution. Todd.
All right, that's our Emma Convey at City Hall in downtown Halifax this evening. There was some excitement today in St. Stephen as a new collaborative healthcare clinic was announced for the town. But as CTV's Avery McRae reports, one very key element is missing.
Susan Holt's Liberals are now almost a third of the way to their election promise of 30 new collaborative care clinics.
We will have our 9th collaborative care clinic in St. Stephen with a $3.6 million investment from the provincial government in a new and dedicated clinic that will not be in the hospital.
It's the first new style clinic to come to southwest New Brunswick, a relatively rural part of the province. It's something the health minister believes will actually be a benefit in terms of recruitment efforts.
St. Stephen is an optimal size. There's a real community spirit here. A town like this does keep people out of the bigger city. You can always drive there if you want to go to Costco. But you can't always walk down the street and meet a neighbor or a friend or participate in a club.
The new clinic will be an expansion of the Charlotte County Collaborative Wellness Center team that currently works out of the hospital.
In the last year alone, we have added 7 health professionals to this team and have onboarded 310 new patients to the patient roster. That is 310 individuals and families who now have access to trusted health care within their community.
Missing from today's announcement was where this new facility will be located. The province said a lease agreement is still being finalized for the center, meaning it likely won't begin welcoming patients until early 2026. So why didn't the province wait for the center to share the news?
Folks were asking us, you've forgotten about us, you're not doing anything, it's not going to happen. And we wanted to let people know it absolutely will happen.
Before the new year, the province plans to announce the location for its 10th of 30 collaborative care clinics to be established by 2028. Avery McRae, CTV News, St. Stephen, New Brunswick.
The Nova Scotia government has given the green light to a massive wind project in Guysborough County. It's a partnership between a private company and Member 2 First Nation. The Seta-Puktuk Wind Project has cleared the environmental review stage. Next is construction of a 54 wind turbine generation system that will power the Everwind Fuels green hydrogen and ammonia production facility that will be placed in Point Tupper. Wind turbines are expected to generate 432 megawatts of power. That will also mean hundreds of jobs for the area.
Through construction, we see kind of the demand being anywhere between 350 to 400 people on site. And you could see that this summer in Guysborough County with another wind project in construction. That site was likely the largest employer in the municipality this summer.
Construction is slated for late next year. Once the project is up and running, Everwind Energy says the project will deliver nearly $4 million a year in municipal taxes to Guysborough County.
Get the Maritimes top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
Losing your eyesight would be devastating for anyone, but it's especially hard for a Moncton photographer who has dedicated his life to his vision. Derek Haggett has his story.
He's achieved great success from looking through the eyes of a camera lens, but now Maurice Henry's vision is failing him. Rapidly declining eyesight has put the Moncton photographer's career on hold.
I don't like to use the word depressed, but I'm sad.
At first, he thought it was part of growing older, but he soon realized it was hereditary.
My mother and my aunt, her sister, both lost their eyesight when they were in their late 40s.
Henri started his award-winning career in the 80s when he turned his hobby into a profession and traveled around the world. Those travels took him to war-torn countries like Sierra Leone and earthquake-ravaged Haiti. His Cameras for Healing project is Henri's biggest sense of pride. He's helped people experiencing extreme trauma deal with their pain through photography.
As I was able to use my career, not my career, but my passion in photography, using cameras to actually help others.
2 years ago, another major health scare when he beat an aggressive form of prostate cancer. He was given a 50-50 chance of survival.
My cancer was devastating, don't get me wrong, because that's life and death. This is life and death to me.
He's staying positive because his doctors are confident everything will be fine after surgery. But what if he did have to stop?
That's what keeps me awake at night, I'll be honest with you. I dedicated my whole life to this.
Henri is hoping there are more stories to tell and more pictures to be taken. Derek Haggett, CTV News, Moncton.
Time for our first break tonight. Still to come, a cloudy and cool night ahead for the Maritimes. Kaylin has the full forecast. But next, mental health monitoring.
It's a tough job to think about.
We'll tell you about a new study focusing on the mental health of paramedics in New Brunswick. Stay with us.
Friday.
New Brunswick paramedics will be some of the first in the country to take part in a mental health monitoring study. It hopes to help medics before their health seriously deteriorates. Here again is Laura Brown.
The best data suggests that 1 in 10 paramedics will attempt to die by suicide at least once in their lifetime, says clinical psychologist Dr. Nick Carlton.
We owe them so much better than that.
Carlton is the lead behind a mental health monitoring system that's already being used by the RCMP. It asks members to document daily check-ins on their mental health with more in-depth monthly and yearly assessments.
So the system provides regularized feedback on an annual and a monthly basis that they can then export and take to a clinician of their own choosing or to another resource of their own choosing and say, look, here's where I'm starting to get into trouble.
He says research shows taking even a minute to reflect on your day is good for your mental health. And so far, that's proving true among RCMP members, he says. So now New Brunswick paramedics will be among the first provincial frontline workers in the country to try out the program too.
It's a tough job to think about. Obviously people always point to, horrific events that leave a mark on you.
Chris Hood says about 10% of paramedics are on medical stress leave at any given time. The hope is to intervene before it gets to that point. The medics' personal data will never reach their employer, manager, or insurer, but the program will wipe personal information and send employers an overall view of their team's health.
So that the frontline can essentially anonymously speak to all of the different leaders.
Hood says WorkSafe NB will fund medics' participation for the first 2 years. The association is committing to the 3rd year, but he hopes more funding will become available to make the pilot permanent. Carlton says frontline workers deserve that support.
My ideal goal would be that these kinds of evidence-based tools and training and practices and policy shifts can be propagated across everybody who's choosing to serve like this, because we owe them at least that and so much more.
Laura Brown, CTV News, Fredericton.
Still to come, expect some rainy weather in the region tomorrow. Kaylin will have those details when we return with the full forecast.
For Ford, a Ford.
So one of our talented camera operators headed out to Grand Lake, Wellington, Nova Scotia today.
Okay.
Found a group, as you can see there, heading out to fish for striped bass.
All right. Well, it was a decent enough day for it.
Wasn't it?
Do they like the rain? I know some fish, or some people say, you catch fish more when it's raining out.
I've never asked.
I don't know. I'll have to figure this one out. Because there is rain in the forecast for tomorrow. It is part of the same sprawling weather system that is bringing a heavier snowfall.
And we talked a bit about this.
That's right. So let's take a look at it.
Don't have to shovel the rain.
That's right.
But in Ontario,
there's going to be more than a little bit of shoveling going on after this one moves through. This one is really going to ramp up tonight. It's going to be ongoing through Wednesday, and then eventually things are going to be winding down for northern Ontario as we make our way through Thursday. However, that snow will be making its way into western areas of Quebec. These totals are pretty impressive. I mean, already by 6 p.m. on Wednesday, it looks like there could be some snowfall amounts in parts of northern Ontario in the range of around 10 to 30 centimeters, and then a little bit more to calm down as we move into and through Thursday. And you can see some of those totals starting to come up in excess of 30 centimeters, which is over a foot of snow.
And again, this is the same system that brought all that snow to Calgary yesterday?
It is, actually, yes. It's the same weather system that brought snow to southern areas of Alberta and Saskatchewan. It has obviously picked up strength and increased the amount of snow potential with it. Of course, there are winter storm warnings in effect for this area of northern Ontario. There are some concerns about hazardous driving conditions along some of the roadways, some of the highways, including portions of the Trans-Canada. This heavy snow is going to be accompanied by gusty winds that could create extensive periods of whiteout conditions as well. So weather conditions across the country right now, you can see there is some chilly temperatures in place through parts of the prairies. Calgary right now sitting at around -4, Regina sitting at around -1, Winnipeg at -3, and then that area through the red to the north of Lake Superior, that is the winter storm warning that is in effect. There are other weather alerts in effect around the region though, including some weather watches as well as a snowfall warning where snow isn't expected to be quite as much, but still could total 10 to 20 centimeters for some areas. And then for us here in the Maritimes, again, we're sort of on the rainier side of this weather system. So as we move through tonight into tomorrow, it's increasing cloudiness with the first of the rain arriving very early tomorrow morning in the southwest of New Brunswick and the southwest of Nova Scotia. But that rain is fairly quick to spread across the entirety of the Maritimes as we move through Wednesday morning into Wednesday afternoon. Just as a heads up, initially, very early Wednesday morning, there may be the risk of a little bit of light, patchy freezing rain around central areas of New Brunswick before temperatures warm up enough at the surface that it just turns over to rain. There may also be a little bit of wet snow that mixes in for northern areas of New Brunswick. Just rain for Prince Edward Island and for Nova Scotia with this one. The first round kind of clears through as we head towards the early evening hours of Wednesday, but there'll be another round of some rain that'll come through later Wednesday night into very early Thursday morning. So the forecast for Wednesday night into early Thursday morning for some rain, drizzle, and fog. Again, overall rainfall amounts of this weather system about 10 to 30 millimeters, maybe a little bit lower for northern areas of New Brunswick. Temperatures for tonight will be at their coldest up to around midnight, and then they start to rise a little bit during the overnight hours. And we are looking at some milder temperatures for parts of the Maritimes for tomorrow. Not so much in the north of New Brunswick, still cool there with highs between 3 and 5 degrees. But parts of central and southern areas of New Brunswick tomorrow see some high temperatures getting up between 7 and 11. And Prince Edward Island on Wednesday can expect high temperatures around 7 degrees. And then for Nova Scotia, this is where we'll notice some temperatures more up towards the double digits with highs between 7 and 10 for Cape Breton and between 8 and 11 degrees for the North Shore and Eastern Shore of the mainland. Northern and central areas of Nova Scotia with high temperatures between 8 and 12 degrees for tomorrow. And in the southwest of Nova Scotia, highs near 12 for the Annapolis Valley and high temperatures between 10 and 13 degrees around the South Shore and in the southwest of the province. Now, temperatures remain mild for the Maritimes into Thursday as a few more showers move through, but they're cool to chilly again by the time we get into Friday and a little bit on the colder side for the upcoming weekend. Features mostly a mix of sun and cloud. Rain's possible on Monday of next week, and then looks like temperatures could turn a little bit colder again as we're moving through the first part of December, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday time frame. Nova Scotia in the forecast, chance of showers in behind the rain tomorrow for both Thursday and Friday. Temperatures cooling down into the weekend, so a little bit colder Saturday and Sunday with a mix of sun and cloud. Rain possible on Monday, followed by cloudy periods on Tuesday. And for Prince Edward Island in the forecast, rain on Wednesday is followed by some showers on Thursday and a potential mix of showers and flurries on Friday. Colder weekend temperatures with a mix of sun and cloud, and then rain possible on Monday of next week, Todd.
All right, thank you, Kalen. We'll see you for the Wake Up Weather. Next, we'll talk about the state of fish species living in our waters. And we have this in entertainment.
Hi, my name is Asif Ilyas, and I'm a musician from Nova Scotia. And I am putting out an album called Autonomy, and I've got lots of stuff coming up, and we're going to tell you all about it soon.
Okay, so coming up tomorrow, 7:30, you have the chance to win a $250 gift card to St. Louis Bar and Grill.
And Merry Techsmith continues.
It's for 2 tickets to Neptune Theater. Good luck.
Affirm.
Welcome back. An important report out today. The 9th annual Oceanana audit of Canada's fishery was released, and it found some fish are making a rebound. Many other species are not. Rebecca Skynes is a fishery scientist with the conservation group, and she is on the other coast today in Vancouver. It's nice to see you.
Thank you.
I have covered the fishery off and on for a very long time. The headline has always been that fish are in decline. Your report in the first line says Canada's fisheries have reached a decisive moment. Why now, and what is that decisive moment?
Yeah, so as you've highlighted, we've been doing these audits for 9 years. So after nearly a decade of auditing the fisheries management that the government is responsible for across Canada's waters, we finally have the foundations for recovery in place and, being acted upon for a number of stocks. We have stronger science, clear laws, progress in fisheries monitoring, and now a new wave of rebuilding plans. However, we still only have 1/3 of all stocks that are confidently in the healthy zone, and only 30 out of nearly 200 marine fish stocks that are fully protected by the Modernized Fisheries Act. So we're still lacking important rebuilding plans for depleted stocks, and there's still some gaps in both monitoring and science. So really right now, at a time of economic uncertainty, climate volatility, and global trade friction, it's essential to focus on rebuilding healthy fisheries.
The report indicates mismanagement of some stocks continues, a couple that we're very familiar with on the East Coast. Why does that continue to happen? What is being done to turn that around?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, that there's that progress, but there's also persistent gaps. And there still are cases of mismanagement that has, left too many stocks depleted for too long, which also makes fishing businesses vulnerable. With only 1/3 of Canadian fisheries being in the healthy zone, this is an underperforming sector, leaving money, jobs, and food off the table by failing to rebuild key species. So, we really are at a time where we have all the tools, and it's about using those tools to ensure that there's a legacy of abundance and a diversity of fish stocks to depend on.
Yeah, you mentioned diversity of stocks. Do we rely on too few species to fish, to eat? And does that put too much pressure on them? Should we be expanding, what we put on our plate?
Yeah, I mean, when we look at Canada's seafood economy, it's heavily reliant on a few trading partners and a few species. So just 77% of the landed value comes from 4 shellfish species. And so, we really need to be looking to rebuild the foundation, these ecosystems, healthy ground fish and healthy forage fish, so that, markets are able to develop and can withstand changes from both, global economics and these trading relationships, but also climate volatility, because healthy oceans are a buffer against climate change.
There's a great quote in the report that I want to read so the audience can hear it. It's from a scientist. He says that counting fish is easy, except they move and you can't see them. So is science being left out of the decision making, and what's the risk if we're not leaning on that enough?
Yeah, so I mean, we have seen progress in science assessments and more up-to-date assessments, but there's still some critical gaps, as well as gaps in fisheries monitoring. So, we have a good foundation for science for a lot of these stocks, but it's really about ensuring that the management decisions reflect both the science and the policies that Canada is accountable for. And with that, we can ensure that there's predictable, profitable fisheries from now and into the future.
You're mentioned in the report. You think Canada can restore the healthy fish populations within, a decade? What has to happen for that to come about?
Yeah, so we do have a Modernized Fisheries Act, and it hasn't been fully implemented over the past 6 years. It's only implemented for 30 out of nearly 200 stocks. So fast-tracking implementation and this rebuilding process would align with both the government's available funding and deliver benefits to coastal communities and the fishing industry sooner. every year of delay defers recovery. It can prolong losses and inflate future costs. We have to remember that rebuilding fisheries, it's a long-term investment and it's a correction to historical overfishing. And so there has to be patience and following the science to achieve those goals. But with these stocks that do have rebuilding plans, some of them can recover, within a decade to healthy levels.
Rebecca Skynes, it's an important report. We look for it every year this time, Oceanana. Thank you very much for telling us about it. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me, and check out our website and check out the report.
It's great reading. Thank you very much. We will take a break. We will be right back with much more. Time for the scene with Katie Kelly. Hi there.
Hi.
Halifax musician, one of my favorites. What a great guy, returning to his roots. Glad to see it.
Yes, yes. In a world, Todd, where AI tools are becoming more common, of course, as we know, Asif Ilyas wanted to make something that, well, felt the exact opposite.
Good for him.
Asif Ilyas is a well-known multi-instrumentalist, film music producer, and composer. But his newest album shows off something different.
It's an instrumental album, which is a big change for me, like very, very big.
Autonomy is a return to his classical guitar roots and a deliberate pushback against a world filled with artificial intelligence.
I call it 4D fingerstyle. It's a term I made up, and it's basically like to describe the four elements. I'm playing the drums, the bass, the internal like guitar or keyboard, and then melody all at once, which is what makes up the whole band, but I'm doing it all from just my two hands on the one guitar.
The project was recorded live to tape, with no edits, using a rare custom acoustic guitar.
It's called a Greenfield, and it's built by Michael Greenfield in Montreal. It's a very special guitar because it's the wood that's in it is from a tree that there's only one that's ever existed in recorded history, and it was found deep in the jungles of Belize, and it's got this bizarre tone. It's actually the only type of mahogany in the world that they found.
Its almost otherworldly sound fits perfectly with the album's themes.
I kind of am a big space nerd, so there's a lot of that stuff, like tech. And it's sort of, the tunes were inspired by the battle between the real world and the artificial world. So I call it autonomy because I'm doing everything by myself.
You even joked your initials are AI.
Yeah, that's right. I'm the real AI, that's right.
To honor the fully analog approach, Autonomy is also available on vinyl.
To me, the crackle of vinyl people complain about, but I think it's like a fireplace.
For those who want to see his approach in action, Asif will host a free workshop next week here at Long & McQuaid in Halifax.
For people who are interested in finding out more about percussive guitar and, those techniques on the guitar, or just how recording guitar.
He also brings Autonomy's vinyl release party to the Carlton on December 4th, performing the album top to bottom, along with a few vocal favorites. As AI reshapes the music world, Asif Ilyas, the original AI, hopes this fully human record becomes something listeners return to over and over again.
I love listening to music all the time. If you come to our house, there's music playing 24/7, so I just hope that it's, it hits with people that they do the same.
The original AI, I like that.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Of course, his kids are a little piece of the album too.
Right.
And you know Asif from bands from way back.
He had a band called Mir back in the 90s. They were a lot of fun. His brother is a great musician as well. Yeah, really good folks.
Yeah. So more info on all that's coming up is online. His YouTube channel is there, and all the info on that Long & McQuaid workshop, as well as the Carlton Show.
Some slightly different tone of music now.
That's right.
One of metal's most influential bands coming to Atlantic Canada.
Yes, Todd, Megadeth will return, and they will kick off the Atlantic leg of their farewell tour this March, following the release of their final self-titled album. Megadeth will play the Scotiabank Centre in Halifax March 3rd and the Avenir Centre in Moncton March 4th. Fans can expect classics from the band's massive catalog, plus new tracks from the upcoming record. Tickets for this one go on sale Friday.
Okay, and the very talented Kathleen Edwards coming back to the East Coast.
Yes, the Canadian singer-songwriter will perform at the Lighthouse Arts Centre next summer.
You can go quiet, you can run. Say goodbye, tell no one.
The show in Halifax will be on Saturday, August 1st, supporting her latest album, Billionaire. Tickets for this one go on sale Friday as well.
Yeah, she's great live. Thank you.
You're welcome.
See you tomorrow night. We'll see you after this.
Mornings with Aaron and Peter.
Another episode of Why is Peter So Cheap? This time with his toilet seat tomorrow at 6.
We give away $500 tomorrow. $20K holiday first bonus prize.
Friday.
On the markets, this was a big day for the Dow Jones in New York. It closed up 664 points. A Canadian company that owns convenience stores right around the world says business is booming. BNN Bloomberg's Marilla Fernandez has the details.
Couche-Tard, owner of stores like Circle K, says it still plans to open 500 new stores by 2028. It already owns more than 17,000 convenience stores around the world. In its latest quarter, Couche-Tard reported profits rose 4.5% year over year to more than $740 million US. Meal deal sales helped push profits up. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is down a fraction to 70.92. West Texas Intermediate crude is down to 57.95. Western Canadian Select is up to 46.17. And the TSX gained almost 300 points today, ending the day at a record high of 30,900. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marilla Fernandez.
Record highs, just like the temperatures, right?
Yeah, you wish. It is cool and breezy out here on the weather deck this evening, and using the word cool might be a little bit generous. Let's take a look at our viewer picture for tonight, and this one is beautiful. It is coming in from this morning. What a scene here at Digby, Nova Scotia. This was sent in by Michelle Rice. Of course, before the cloud cover began to increase throughout the day, now much cloudier down around the Digby area. And for tomorrow, it is rain moving through. Now, for Digby, the steadiest of the rain will be in the morning. There should be a break in the afternoon where it's sort of just on the cloudy side, but maybe with a chance of patchy fog and drizzle, and then maybe a little bit more rain to come through later Wednesday night. High temperature for Digby near 12 degrees. Day planner for tomorrow around the Maritime region. Remember, initially, as that rain comes in the early morning hours to parts of New Brunswick, there's a risk of a little bit of light freezing rain before the surface temperatures come up above zero. After that, it'll just be rain for that province, as it will be for Prince Edward Island and Nova Scotia as we move from the morning into the afternoon. By around mid to late afternoon, that first round of rain should begin to clear PEI in eastern areas of Nova Scotia, but again, a little bit more rain, drizzle, and fog expected Wednesday evening and Wednesday night. Let's find out what's coming up on your Morning Atlantic.
Wednesday on your Morning Atlantic, the season to sparkle. Holiday Haul Week continues with our friends at Crescent Gold and Diamonds. They'll suggest some glittering gifts for your holiday shopping list. Start your mornings with us Wednesday on your Morning Atlantic.
Finally for us this evening, it seems your dog might have more in common with wolves than you thought. A new series of studies looking at the genomes of thousands of pooches has revealed some new information. We already knew that all domestic dogs can trace their ancestry back to wolves, but it was thought that wolf DNA stopped flowing into dogs after they became domestic. Well, the new data shows low but detectable amounts of wolf DNA in nearly 2/3 of dog breeds. Wolf it is. That is our look at the day here at home. Bruce Frisco will be here with the late local news update at 11:30, ctvnewsatlantic.ca. His updates anytime in the poll, of course. I'm Todd Battis. Thanks for joining us. We hope to see you right back here tomorrow night. Till then, have a good night.
CTV News, the Maritimes' #1 newscast.